out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick the code, stop for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same power at your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, got me on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Break it down here, I'm Dr. Boyce TV.
Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. What's going on, B. Pauly? And she ran herself fit. Hey, how are you? How you doing, Felicia? The Weedley, Jason Hunter from Sacramento, Lori Collins. Hey, what's going on, Musa and Sion? Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Do me a favor, shout out your city. I see Shaman is from New Jersey. Frederick Jackson, how you doing, Freddie? Remember Freddie Jackson, the singer? Oh man, that was so. I remember that guy. Let's see. I see NYC. West Coast from Dubstar Music. Anita says buffering. Uh-oh, can you guys see me and hear me? Give me a yes or no if you can see me and hear me clearly. Let me know if you can see me and hear me clearly. I see Detroit, Michigan. Let's see here. Doc talk like Mitch McConnell again. Oh, Mitch McConnell. Oh, I'm gonna try to do my Mitch McConnell imitation where he has a little turkey giblets hanging from his face and it looks like a little snip. And I believe that black people are bad. And was that good? Was that funny? It make you laugh? Okay, if that makes you laugh, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you think I should go into comedy. Anyway, I'm kidding. Actually, I want to say goodbye to a comic legend. What's his named John Witherspoon. John Witherspoon, funny black man. God bless him. He's now with Nipsey Hussle in the heavens and Prince and Michael Jackson and all the other people that we came to love over the years. So RIP to that brother. I'll tell you, Boondocks is one of the best shows ever. I can't wait till they bring it back, and they need to bring it back and keep it 100% black. Now, speaking of staying black, Spelman College is kind of under fire right now because they received a donation from this billionaire white guy who basically wants to make Spelman a little bit gayer, apparently. I don't know. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that's what it is. His name is John Stryker. Give me a yes or no if you saw this in the media, where Spelman received $2 million from a billionaire by the name of John Stryker today to open up a queer studies department. Anybody know about that? Yeah, I'm gonna read this to you guys. And hit the thumbs up button, please. Please hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell if you haven't done that yet. And hello to everybody on the Black Financial Channel. If you like to go and hear just financial content only, you don't want to hear about other stuff, feel free to subscribe at theblackfinancialchannel.com. It's the Black-owned financial platform where we do daily financial news, and I talk about stocks in the market and everything else. And by the way, if you're not an investor, you should invest, because actually this is one of the best years ever for investing. And so I'm telling you, it's been amazing. So, all right, so Pamela and Dr. Earl Wiggins, I'm gonna read this to you so you guys will know what's going down. This is according to Forbes. Spelman College today announced a matching gift of up to $2 million from billionaire philanthropist John Stryker to create a chair in queer studies, the first position of its kind at a historically black college or university, HBCU. The chair will be named after the Black lesbian poet and activist Audre Lorde. Stryker is the founder and president of the Arcus Foundation, which supports LGBTQ rights and protection of the great apes. However, that just almost just seems weird that he protects apes and give money to, y'all know, I mean, seriously, I'm not saying that that's why he's giving money to black people, but come on, man, damn, like apes, that's like such a weird coincidence. Anyway, Twiggy says, I'm an investor now, thanks to you. Well, good. Everybody should be an investor. Every black person should invest for their family. And actually this links to conversations like this. Now, anyway, let's keep going. The medical equipment firm, let's see, his fortune is for about $3.9 billion. And it comes from the Stryker Corp, the medical equipment firm his grandfather founded in 1941. Now, pay attention. If you guys, I don't know if any of you guys came to our event in New York. We just did an 8-hour investment seminar in New York. And one of the things I laid out to you is how white people do that, how wealthy families have people back in the 40s and 50s who made moves for them, who made investments for them. They put them in power now. Well, the same thing is true here. You can do things in 2019 that can make your grandchildren millionaires and billionaires. It's very easy to do. You just got to do something. You can't just sit around. Let's see here. I know I'm off subject, says Stephanie. Please look at CBS channel. Obama had advice for the so-called woke culture. Yeah, I saw that, Stephanie. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I think that he made a good point with that. And I'll analyze that later. So let me focus on this here. All right. So, quote, the more people understand queer history and LGBTQ issues, the more likely they are to accept and support the LGBTQ community, Stryker told Forbes in an email. By empowering and educating the next generation, we can help make a future where LGBTQ people have full and equal protections under the law. Now, y'all know that we get to keep it 100. We get to keep it honest here. I'm not here to censor your opinion or tell you that you are a bad person because of what you believe, whether you agree with me or don't agree with me. I want to ask you, do you feel comfortable with this donation? Do you feel comfortable with this transfer of money? Because remember, when money changes hands, power is changing hands. Billionaires don't give their money away without strings attached. Usually they expect something for their money. Usually their money is an investment in something. They're investing in something. Usually there is some sort of agenda connected to the money. It's okay. I mean, everybody does it. I do it. I've given money to things I believe in. I didn't give $2 million, but I gave $5,000 to Freedom Home Academy International in Chicago because I believe in Black-owned African-centered schools. I believe that's the future of education. I don't believe that either white schools or Black schools that are owned by white people, like say a Spelman, are ideal for Black people. I just don't believe that. I don't believe integration is the answer. I'm with my friend David Banner, who actually said in Ebony magazine last year that integration was the worst thing that ever happened to Black people. Dr. Claude Anderson feels that way. I happen to feel that way, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay. Amanda says no. Kilimanjaro says no. Proud Caramel Queen says no. The Maryland says it sounds like they're banking on our kids being gay. Okay. Well, let's just make this clear too. I don't want this to become a homophobic conversation. This is not a discussion where we are looking to make anybody feel bad, for their perspective, their belief of who they are. I think that's a terrible thing. If you're mistreating people because they're gay, I can't support that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in hatred of any form. Now, here's the thing. I do believe in Black love, and I do believe in Black empowerment. Black love and Black empowerment means that for me, it means I also believe in Black sovereignty. What does that mean? Well, sovereignty kind of means making your own agenda. Sovereignty means following your own path. Sovereignty means doing what the fuck you want to do and not letting other people tell you what you can and cannot do, or what you should and should not do, or feeling that they have the right to pressure you, influence you, or bully you into changing who the hell you are. That's what sovereignty means. Now, here's the problem you have, right? The problem you have is that you have these schools called HBCUs. Most of them are solid in certain educational areas. Most of them can give you, if you want to go get an education so you can go work for white people, they're your guy. They can get you there, right? And that's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. I told you all the flaws of everybody rushing over to work for the white man, because that's what leads to all that stress that you're feeling, that hatred, that anger you feel. I don't know if anybody else ever goes to work and feels like you want to just punch your boss in the face, or you feel like you're being discriminated against and nobody cares. You wish you were a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman so you can cry a couple of tears and then they would feel sorry for you and give you $20 million because somebody hurt your feelings. I don't know if you ever go through that, but the thing is, I believe our children should be guided away from that. I believe smart Black people are going to guide their children to have options. Now, with that said, one problem you have is that many of your HBCUs, like the Spelmans, are struggling financially. Even Spelman at the top of the pile has financial challenges. They're not as underwater and really deep down in the issues the way, say, a Howard is, because Howard had that whole crazy thing with financial aid and all that. But all the HBCUs are struggling, and nobody from our community, especially our celebrities, are really stepping up and supporting these schools. The last major support that I saw for HBCUs, I'm talking about significant. I did see Oprah give $13 million to Morehouse. She deserves applause for that, even though she tried to murder Michael Jackson in the grave, which I thought was interesting, that she and Gail are looking for all the Black predators, but ain't said nothing about Harvey Weinstein. You got pictures of Harvey Weinstein, ain't said nothing about him, but you got everything. You go say everything in the world about Black men that are accused of things, right? That's a problem for you, Oprah. That's an issue. That's a contradiction. That's an inherent flaw that people are noticing. People are not stupid. They see you. They see what you're doing. But with that said, the millions that she gave to Morehouse, that's cool. I think also, remember Bill Cosby. As much as people want to write him off as if he never did anything good for anybody ever in his life, Bill Cosby, to this day, from what I understand, gave the largest HBCU donation ever. The only thing that came close to that was when my brother Robert Smith gave that $40 million to go pay off their student loans, which actually I would love to see him actually do something even more significant in terms of offering capital to these young brothers that want to start businesses. I think that helping them to obtain assets or real estate so they can pay off their loans with an asset is actually a better long-term financial move. Getting you out of debt is one thing. That's like taking you, that's like if you're going backwards, that's like stopping you from going backward. But that's not the same as going forward. So the fact that you're no longer going backward is not the same. It does not mean that you're now going forward. So, a brother who's out of debt is basically you're going from negative 50,000 to zero, right? Your net worth is going from negative to zero. That's not the same as being positive, but it does not mean I'm criticizing what Robert Smith did. But I think that in terms of accelerating their success, I will position them to be able to make down payments on property, get the funding for businesses, or get in a position where they can build wealth for themselves, so they can, because it's easier to knock out student loans when you have an asset that's generating you an extra $5,000-$10,000 a month. That's much easier than working paycheck to paycheck for the next 40 years of your life. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Please hit the thumbs up button. So here's what I'd like to know about this issue, this gift. This gift came from a guy named John Stryker. He's a billionaire. He gave the $2 million to Spelman to start this queer studies chair and stuff like that. I'm not here to tell you what you think about that. You can have your own opinion about that. But what I am here to tell you about is this thing called money. You see, money, especially when it's given by billionaires, is usually given with some sort of objective, some sort of agenda. Him donating money for a queer studies department is not the same as him giving money for, say, a math department or a biology department. Do you follow what I'm saying? This is not the same thing. This is a political gift. That's my point. This is a political gift that, unfortunately, what it can do is it can undermine and assault Black intellectual sovereignty. We have been, especially in academia. I was in, you guys know I taught at major universities for 25 years, University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, et cetera. And one of the things that I observed very early in my career is that there isn't much space in academia for Black people to truly find the solutions, to really, truly be Black, truly find out, what it means to be Black, what it means to be an empowered Black person in this country. Because if you really go down that rabbit hole, what you start questioning are things that are sacred. Like you start saying, well, wait a minute, what did integration really do for us? If we own more businesses before integration than we do now, what did integration do for us? If our children were being educated better before integration than they are now, what did integration do for us? If we owned 15 times more land 100 years ago than we do now, what did integration do for us? If our families were intact 40, 50 years ago, but they're not intact now, what did integration do for us? You see, integration, for the most part, if you think about it carefully, what it really means is basically you being taught how to act like white people. You see, integration it's like one company taking over another company. It's a merger, but you're not merging as equals partners. You're being acquired. It's an acquisition. You see, in corporate finance, something that I know very, very well, you see, there's a difference between two companies that merge together as 50-50 partners, like a marriage where you have a husband and wife that treat each other equally, versus an acquisition. An acquisition is something that's done by a pimp. A pimp acquires hoes. And so for Black people, we became the economic host for America. We became the people that were acquired and integrated, pulled in, sucked in to the broader American economic system to be tools for the benefit of this other part of society. So as a result, what happens is they get you falsely believing that you've got these institutions called HBCUs that are yours and belong to you. And you really think that you run these motherfuckers. You don't run shit up in an HBCU. When I was at Syracuse University, I went to interview at Howard, I believe, and I went to talk to, it was Howard and another school. And I remember I talked to the people in the business school. I can't remember if it was A&T, North Carolina A&T, one of those schools, where I remember them specifically telling me, they said, we do not have one single African-American male faculty member in the entire business school. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought you were an HBCU. How can you be an HBCU and not have one single African-American male faculty member in the entire goddamn business school, because you got African-American males running all up and down the hallways taking classes. You got African-American males on the football team, basketball team. You're collecting money from African-American males. Oh, I get it. I understand now. You basically are like a prison yard where it's filled with black people, but you make the mistake of believing that because the prison yard is filled with black people, that black people are running the prison. Or because the KFC farm is filled with chickens, that the chickens are actually the ones who have all the power. The chickens have no power. The chickens are the fuel for the power of those who are actually running the farm. So for many of our systems in America, black people all throughout history, go back to slavery, one of the most valuable commodities in America was a slave. The ownership of human beings was one of the most valuable things you could do, right? And so ultimately, you've always been the economic fuel for America. In the educational system, when you go to these inner cities where they got these inferior schools, broken, busted schools, teaching you about shit like Columbus Day and that George Washington was the greatest man alive, and don't want to teach you about Marcus Garvey, but they're filled with black schools with nothing but white teachers all making all the money, white people designing the curriculum, white people getting all the federal funding. They're using black children as the fuel for their economic prosperity. When you look at the prison industrial complex, where you've got these prisons that are filled with black people who don't even get to vote in the towns, they get all this economic and political power because they're there. They get the population, but the black people don't get the actual vote. You're seeing billions of dollars transferred from the fact that they're using you and your sons as fuel to allow them to achieve additional prosperity. If you go to the NCAA, that big organization where they have all these black athletes that are working for free so that white students on campus can fund the fucking volleyball team, and they can buy new buildings on this campus that a lot of black males could never get a chance to walk into. They are using you as fuel for their economic prosperity. When all y'all Negroes run around here putting on Gucci belts and bragging about your Louis Vuitton, and you got rappers like Lil Yachty, who I was talking about earlier, who made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, who's now going broke and because he owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to his jeweler, they are using you as fuel for their economic prosperity. When they set up, the Arab guy and the Asian guy and the Mexican lady and the Vietnamese lady sets up the hair salon, restaurant, and nail shop in your neighborhood, and they're collecting tons of money out of your hood. They're giving you, old, rotten, nasty groceries that are overpriced so they can go home and take that money home to their family. They're using you as fuel for their economic prosperity. So for the most part, in most situations, black people are the fuel. We are the fuel, but we do not get to drive the car. We do not own the car. The vehicle belongs to somebody else. And so when I look at HBCUs and I look at Spelman, I'm not here to be critical of Spelman. I actually think Spelman, amongst all the white-owned schools in America, and Spelman, it was named after a white woman, if I'm not mistaken. It's a white school. It just happens to have black people in it, but it's a white school. If Trump decided that he wants to get Spelman shut down, and Trump and the government decided to shut down Spelman would be shut down. Black people would not be able nor willing to come forth and save that school. Right? We wouldn't, right? So Spelman it's okay. It's not a bad school. Like, I think Spelman among white schools is probably the best school in the country for black women. I think Spelman's an extraordinary school. I know lots of great women who came from Spelman. Most graduates I know that went to Spelman are doctors, lawyers, professors, etc. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the women who graduated from Spelman. But one thing that we have to sort of acknowledge and understand is that as great as Spelman can be, Spelman, for the most part, like most of our institutions, even the HBCUs, do not have very much intellectual sovereignty. Why does this come up in this donation? Well, because he gave this $2 million and set up this chair in the school. And this was a donation that was probably given with some strings attached. I cannot imagine a man who is passionate about LGBTQ rights. I cannot imagine a man who is that passionate about that issue giving $2 million and saying, here, do what you want with it. You could open up a Trump center if you want. You can go do what you want. Go spend it at the casino. I would anticipate that he formed that economic relationship with that school because he wants to ensure that black people are integrated further into white ideologies when it comes to sexuality and everything else, and family and all these other things. Now, this is not to say that those ideologies are wrong. It's not to say that you're wrong if you're gay. I mean, I'm telling you, if you whatever you do in the bedroom is on you. Whoever you love, that's you. As long as you ain't hurt no children and no animals, whatever, I don't care. And everybody's consenting, I don't care. I really do not care. But what I do think we have to think about is the fact that black people are not allowed to form our own relationship with these new ideas that come along. We're not allowed to adopt that broader spectrum of sexuality at our pace. We must adopt it at the white man's pace. And if the white man feels that we're not moving fast enough, then our liberal allies, so-called friends, are the first ones to come in, judge you and attack you and tell you that you're backward and homophobic and Neanderthals and ignorant and all this other stuff. So while you up here talking about LGBTQ rights, while you're talking about rights for other people, I'm talking about the rights of black people to take our motherfucking time to come to our own conclusion on these things. When you're talking about your rights, I'm talking about the rights of Christians to believe what they want to believe about the Bible. I don't know. I ain't never been attacked by somebody that I know to be a Christian. I just don't. I never went to a church and had somebody, beat me up because I was in church and they were Christians, and Christians just like to beat people up. Christians don't mess with nobody most of the time. But everybody messes with the Christians. Everybody wants to tell you that something's wrong with you and you backward and you need to be like us and da da da. That ain't nothing but forced integration being thrust upon you, which threatens your sovereignty and your right as an individual to make your own decision and come to your own conclusion about these critical issues. I personally believe that it's eventually going to hurt the liberals. I think the liberals and the Democrats are going to lose a lot of black support because they're forcing shit down black people's throats that black people are not ready for. Black people, they've known about homosexuality. They know that the choir director is gay. They know that they got gay people in their family, but they have their own way of viewing things that is not similar or equivalent or equal to the white guy who lives next to the fucking, Starbucks in the Whole Foods who likes to kiss his dog on the fucking lips. Like that we're not him. But that guy comes along, latte, what they call latte sipping liberals, very self-righteous, very self-congratulatory because they've achieved some sort of intellectual moral high ground, and they love to come to the Negroes and tell you why you're inferior and tell you that we're going to enlighten you and we're going to help civilize you, that's the best thing we can do. The best thing we can do for you is help to assimilate you and make you like us. Well, maybe we looked at your crazy ass and said, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be nothing like you. Look at the way your kid. First of all, your kids are shooting up schools because you ain't raising them right. They're getting hooked on oxycodone and heroin and crystal meth and all this other stuff. You out here the way your women are have emasculated the men. It's crazy. Like real black women love their men. They don't buy into this whole toxic masculinity narrative. They know what toxic masculinity looks like. But they don't think that most of their men are toxically masculine. They just believe that we got a few crazy ass motherfuckers out here and they get dealt with. So to me, I think that it's fascinating. And I'm not even really complaining, because complaining is what you do when you're weak. When you're weak, you complain and you whine and you hope that somebody hears you because you have no power. What I'm saying is I'm not here to really complain with you. I'm here to empower you. I'm here to empower you to say, fuck all of y'all. Seriously, I'm here to give you the right to say, fuck you, fuck your bullshit, fuck your integration, fuck your, you might be trying to civilize me. You might be trying to help advance certain causes, or you have the right to your agenda. Your agenda is your agenda, but our agenda is going to be our agenda, and our agenda is going to outride your agenda up in this motherfucker right here, right? In my household, you can have whatever agenda you want if you try to come into my household, but my agenda is going to be the agenda that wins. So what has happened when a guy like this goes and gives a bunch of money to Spelman so he can control the narrative of Spelman and control the language of Spelman, control the thinking of Spelman, certain speakers will not be invited to Spelman anymore. Certain ideas will not be allowed to be shared at Spelman anymore because he came in with this money. Money is power. That's what they do. People give money to pursue a certain ideology. When this is happening at Spelman, this is really a reminder to Black people that we have to find our own institutions that are truly controlled and funded by Black people. It doesn't mean that it's an institution that's filled with Black people. You got plenty of institutions filled with Black people. You got prisons that are filled with Black people. I'm sure you got fast food restaurants that are filled with Black employees. You got college basketball and college football is filled with Black people. I'm talking about not just places that are filled with Black people, but places that are funded by Black people. Not just filled with Black people and funded by Black people, but run and controlled by Black people, where Black people are the ones that decide what their relationship with the world is going to be. So, no disrespect to Spelman. I think Spelman is a great school as far as white universities go. But just understand there's a difference between a Black university that's truly controlled and run by the Black community versus a Black university where it's sort of the puppet strings are being pulled by a white guy. And that's pretty much what you get with a lot of HBCUs. And it's very unfortunate I have to say that, but it's absolutely fundamentally true. Most of these schools can't survive without Trump, Congress, the government, without white guys that are sponsoring, their departments and their events and things like that. You really don't. I mean, what is that? How can you call that yours? That's not yours. It's almost like one of my friends is Daryl Bell from A Different World. Daryl Bell is a great actor. He's a good guy. He played Ron. He played Dwayne Wayne's best friend. And one thing that Daryl, he's not Ron, sorry. One thing that Daryl told me was a very smart guy, brilliant guy. And one thing he told me that was really interesting was he said that most of the cast members on A Different World want to bring that show back. They want to do a reboot of A Different World. But do you know that why they can't do a reboot of A Different World? Because they don't own that shit. Because when they approach Warner Brothers and say, hey, you brought back Friends, why don't you bring back us? Like, people want to see us. They're like, no, we don't want to do anything with that. That belongs to us, right? Well, Whitley Gilbert, the lady Jasmine Guy, she can't even imitate Whitley Gilbert's voice in public without the threat of being sued. They have a copyright on Whitley Gilbert's accent. You see, so you're attached to things that don't even belong to you. You're not much different from when you had gangbangers that were out dying and killing over a block that belonged to the landlord, right? So my thing is saying, look, if you're going to die and kill over a block, at least own that motherfucking block. At least make sure that the lease is in your name, And so ultimately, we got things out here in America that we will say, oh, that's black home, that's black, that's ours. It ain't yours. You just formed an attachment to it. You formed an attachment to it. So anyway, a few things I'd like to know. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. I'd like to know what the conditions are for this money. What, did he give the money with no strings attached, or did he specify what he wanted them to do with this money? Because there is a political agenda attached. You can decide if you agree with it or not. Some of you may be okay with that. Some of you may support that, and I think that's great. If that's who you are, if you're into that sort of ideology, then go for it. I'm not. It's not that I'm against anybody. I'm not, but I don't see LGBTQ rights as the same as black people fighting for civil rights. I don't see it. It's not the same. I don't see that as an issue where I have to move at the pace that white people want me to go. I see it as an issue where I move at the pace that I want to go. And that's the problem between black people and the Democratic Party in particular, is that they always want to kind of rush you along and push you in a certain direction. Like, oh, they get you talking more about immigrants and you end up talking about your own damn community. And that's how you can see a lost Negro, honestly, is when you have a black person on TV that is talking more about immigrants from another country than he's talking about dead black people in his own motherfucking neighborhood, little kids that got shot next to his grandma's house. That is a sick, brainwashed human being. What normal human being ever is going to spend more time talking about some people from another country that don't even live here, that he don't even know, than he talks about his own people dying right next to his grandma's house? So ultimately, I just personally think that some of y'all, I mean, if you want to know what being woke really means, I think being woke means breaking out of the brainwashing. It means breaking out of the programming. It means just thinking for yourself. And you guys know, I don't tell you what to think. I never tell you what to think. I believe in intellectual freedom, which is something that is not supported when it comes to black people. So I'm not telling you to agree with me. I'm not telling you to say, in fact, the only thing I want you to agree with me on is that you need to do what's best for you. So I hope that can we at least agree on that? Can we at least agree that it's okay for you to be who you want to be and to do what you want to do and believe what you want to believe? Yes or no? Can we at least agree on that? Is that a point? That's the only area where I want to be a leader for you. I don't need to lead you into what you have to think about, whatever. I'm going to tell you what I think. And if I convince you, great. If I don't, that's fine too. But can we at least agree that you should do what you want to do, be who you want to be, and think what you want to think without allowing pressure from white folks to get you to shift who you are because they somehow have convinced you that you're a bad person because you go to church and read the Bible, or because you're not down with them on immigration policy or whatever, right? So that's the idea. The idea is to seek out what black people have always claimed to seek out, but have never really actually sought, which is freedom. It's about fucking freedom, man. Freedom. And so, so when people come along and they're up here telling you, and you say, well, I think this, and they're like, oh, something's wrong with you. You're this, you're that. And they label you and attack you and tell you something's wrong with you. Well, no, or that you're backward, or you're behind the times, or you need to be educated. Well, you know that the term education is used regularly by propaganda machines. In North Korea, when you say something that's against the government, they send you to a re-education camp where they can re-educate you into thinking in the way that they want you to think, right? Well, do you remember back in the day, a brother from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, when all those black people started getting shot, this is about maybe 8 years ago, all these black people started getting shot by the cops, and everybody was becoming aware of this and talking about it. And he said, black people need to defend themselves. We need to stop letting people just come in our communities and shoot us. Do you know what happened? Do you know what they said? They said, we're removing Dr. So-and-so from his post so he can be re-educated. So we can re-educate him on ideology or whatever it is. Whatever they said, they use that term education. I say, wow, this is interesting. So what you got to understand, unfortunately, is that many universities in America, I mean, everybody wants to act like the only people that do propaganda is people in China and Russia. That's not true. The United States uses propaganda every single day, and they have extensive machines of propaganda. The universities, most American universities are massive propaganda machines. What they do is they pursue a specific ideology. It tends to favor the liberal side of the fence, right? Now, the conservative side might be favored by things like Fox News and stuff like that, right? Which is also equally problematic. But I've taught on these universities for 20-something years, and I remember being just kind of stunned that my right to be who I was as a black man was always hindered by these so-called white liberal allies who would always make me feel like something was wrong with my point of view, right? Like, oh, well, you need to be educated on this or whatever, you know. And I'm like, no, I don't need to be educated. You need to be educated because y'all the dumbasses who have departments in which you've never promoted a black person in over 100 years. So something's wrong with you. Sounds like you have an issue. Sounds like you're a little stupid. I'm not the dumb one. You're the dumb one, right? So ultimately, you know, I'll just tell you at the end of the day, that's what's really happening. I think that if you really want to counter this kind of thing, I think that you got to find ways to support your own. There are plenty of African-centered schools out here that could solve the educational problem tomorrow. People like Obama don't have the courage to support schools like that. No disrespect to Michelle and Barack, but if Michelle and Barack and Beyonce and Jay-Z and LeBron and a bunch of other celebrities all got together, and some of them are doing some good work, but they're not doing everything that they can, I believe. I believe there's a lot more that could be done. If they all got together, all they'd have to do if they want to solve the educational problem in a year, all they'd have to do is go study Freedom Home Academy International in Chicago. That's one school. They got the Betty Shabazz school in Chicago as well. These are just schools I'm thinking about in Chicago, but they got others in New York and other places that are educating black kids at the absolute highest level. And all they have to do is go raise, you know, a few $1 billion for these schools to be replicated all throughout the United States so that every black parent in America would have an opportunity to go to one of these schools, or send their child to one of these schools. And what you would eventually see within one generation, within actually 5 years, you would see black children's test scores exceed those of white kids. You would see black kids actually exceeding everyone else, right? This has been done. There's another lady down in Lexington, Kentucky, who created an all boys academy. I can't remember the name of the school, but she took all of the black boys out of the public school who were underperforming, and she put them in a special school where they gave them a different sort of teaching methodology. And do you know that these boys' test scores exceeded the students in the white schools? Did you know that? Like, so these solutions are out there. They don't want you to have these solutions because they want you to buy into this myth of integration, that somehow being next to white people and being like white people is your key to freedom and salvation, when really it's actually your key to slavery. So I'm not saying that Spelman's bad for taking the money. They probably needed it. But I'm going to tell you that that if they tell you that this money's being given with no strings attached, that's bullshit. That this is going to shape the narratives on campus in terms of what students are taught, how students are allowed to think, which speakers are invited to that campus, and it's going to reshape how education is done at that school. You don't get big money from somebody without strings attached. Money is power, and there was a transfer of power that happened right here at Spelman, and it's no different from, you know, if I told you guys that suddenly I got $2 million, that the Black Business School got $2 million from President Trump. Like, if I told you that the Black Business School got $2 million from President Trump, Would you believe me if I said, oh, we're taking the money, but he's not going to change how we do anything? He doesn't change anything about what we do here. We're going to be exactly the same as we are. Would you believe that? Would you believe me if I took $2 million from the Trump administration and said the Black Business School is now funded by President Trump? Would you believe me if I told you that nothing was going to change? Would you believe that? It would be absolute. If you believe it, then you're stupid, because that wouldn't be the case, right? So ultimately, my point to you is make your own decision. I don't know if you would send your kids to Spelman or be less likely to do that, but I do think that when you have big wealthy white people coming along and giving big money to so-called black schools, you should be concerned about that, because what they're doing is they're trying to shape the thinking. They're trying to shape the indoctrination process for young black people, because ultimately the money is a political tool, right? So what I encourage you to do is also use your wealth as a political tool. You have $1.3 trillion in wealth in your community, in spending that you do every year. You can use that spending as a weapon and as a shield and as a tool for you to achieve your goals, right? You can use that. That is your weapon. The question is, are you using it? Are you organizing that money so that you can support and defend your community and build your community the way you want, build your children the way you want, or are you giving all that power away to people who care nothing about you? You got to think about that. That's extremely important. So I'm not mad at this man for doing what he did. I'm not mad at Spelman for taking the money. Y'all know me. I'm just here to tell you like it is, and that's what I see. With my, that's what my PhD is seeing right now with this transfer of money. I saw this as a major political move, and don't think that this dude ain't sniffing out other HBCUs. They drop money on broke schools the way a pimp drops a couple chicken sandwiches on a hungry hoe. They see a hungry hoe. They see a pretty little girl sitting outside cold and hungry and looking for something to eat, and they walk up and, hey baby, let me take you aside and get you something to eat. Let me put my coat around you and take you out for a nice meal. That's what you do. The next thing you know, she on the street corner making money for you. This ain't nothing but a pimp hole transaction. That's all it is. If you understand pimping, then you understand what just happened right here. That's just the truth. All right, guys. So please hit the thumbs up button, share button, and subscribe button. Also subscribe to theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you want to get financial analysis, I'm also streaming on a couple platforms. Also, if you want to get away from Facebook or use Facebook less, feel free to go to blackenough.com. That is our Facebook. That's our Facebook substitute. It runs a lot like Facebook, so feel free to go check that out. This is how you spell it. I put it on a shirt so you can spell it, and it's a play off the word black enough, and it's our word. It's owned by us. We have a trademark and copyright on this, and so it's 100% black owned. Also, if you are interested in our business school for children, we have that at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So feel free to go check out blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. And some of you are asking what the next move was as far as events. We're actually having a spades tournament in Joliet, Illinois. If you live in the Chicagoland area or Milwaukee or something like that, you can come on down and go to drboycechicago.com if you'd like to register. It's drboycechicago.com. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good day, and thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Peace.